Okay, we're live. So, this episode of Breaking Bad is down, and it starts out with the pink teddy bear.
I wrote your name down because you're the one who put that together. We see the teddy
Yeah,
bear only in
yeah,
those named episodes. That's a big
yeah.
one.
You only see
Yep.
it in 737 down over in ABQ. Just those.
And we get a little more detail this time than we did before. We know it's
Yeah.
like a forensic kind of a thing. We
Mhm.
know something big happened. That's all we know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So, in this episode, Skyler is you can tell she's pissed off.
This is one of
She.
Skyler's episodes. This is one of her
Yeah.
episodes. It really is.
Mhm.
This is where that whole out thing happens. Where you going?
Yeah.
Out?
This is. Yeah. Yeah.
I
This is.
have to say,
She's
I
pissed
love that.
off. Yeah. She wants Walt to believe that she's up to something.
She's doing what he's
She's doing the
doing,
sa- She's doing the
which
same thing that he's doing,
right, which
which
we take
is
he's never done before.
hilarious. Yeah.
And she's doing that passive aggressive thing, and I get that's not really attractive. Where
Hmm.
everything's fine, but I do love the whole out. I'm going out.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'll be back later. And
Yeah.
Walt is desperate, and he's desperate to get her back to fix
Hmm.
this without having to like actually do what she wants, which is to tell her what's really going on in his life. You know,
Yeah.
you're not just walking. Congratulations, you're not having an
Hmm.
affair. What are you doing? No answer.
Hmm. Yeah.
He's chasing her down.
Hmm.
And
She knows that he's up to something, but she doesn't know what it is.
the first time he does the breakfast, I think we see like 3 mornings here at least, because we see a
Yeah.
bunch of breakfast. But
Hmm.
the first one, she's a little suspicious, and then she kind of gets into the whole family thing, and he's doing really well with her. And he brings up this fiction writers conference, and he'd go with
Hmm.
her. It wasn't like
Yeah.
just sending her away. And she's down with all this until he gets into his
He
epic
break
lie.
his cell phone. He brought up the cell phone. He shouldn't have done that. He
And
shouldn't
he
have
does
done
it
that.
badly, really badly.
Yeah.
And he's always stumbling in this way with his family.
Hmm.
And he just should not have brought it up. By the time he gets done, she's out the door.
Yeah. She
But
didn't even
she
take his
was,
cell phone. He tries to call her. She didn't take the cell phone.
yep. I can't say I blame her. And then there's that time when Jesse calls, and he's not supposed to be talking to somebody like Jesse, so he pretends it's a cable company
Yeah.
trying to get their business. We're happy with our cable service, aren't we, honey? And she just looks at him like, yeah, whatever. And she's out. And it
Hmm.
is. Like she calls it desperate. These desperate, obvious desperate breakfasts or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, you know that what the big thing that occurred to me at the end of this episode, I love this, that I never see these things until the end. But this is a Jesse episode too. This is where Jesse is like, oh, everything is just being taken
Hmm.
from him.
Yeah.
He's lucky he still
Yeah.
has his liver and his kidneys. And he's desperate. He's so desperate. But we get to a point where Walt is offering to make Jesse breakfast toward the end of the
Hmm.
episode, and I went, oh my god, he's trying to. You can't fix this with Skyler. He's also having problems with Junior and insecurity about
Hmm.
Lewis
Yeah.
and his relationship
Hmm.
with his son. And the name, it's not Walter Jr. What? And so there's Jesse. Can I make you breakfast? Please, if I make enough breakfast, Like, how many Hail Marys do I have to say? How many breakfasts do I have to cook?
Do, do you think he's also cooking breakfast because he can't cook meth yet? You know, just to fill that void of cooking?
Wow, that's interesting. He's still cooking. I didn't think of that. But I thought,
You
oh
know,
my
he's just
God,
cooking.
he's
He's
really
cooking the
trying.
breakfast to fill the void of him cooking the meth.
Right, and he can't get Skyler to appreciate this, to cut him a break for being a nice guy and making breakfast and doing the dishes, and so he offers it to Jesse. He's so desperate
Yeah.
for this like contrition. And Skyler's at the door,
Hmm.
and Junior went off with Lewis, and there's Jesse, and at first there's a fight, but it comes down to Walt giving
Yeah.
up money, offering breakfast. He's definitely got his tail curled under him,
Hmm.
kind of. And their conversation, that I think it's a pretty epic conversation between the two of them. I always like that one because
Yeah.
he hopes he's said enough, but he hasn't. He hasn't explained anything. It's
Hmm.
really a generic thing. She's too smart for it, and she knows there's something. And when he won't get into it, he keeps he's losing. He's blowing his own tactic. The tactic to be nice,
Yeah.
to communicate, to make breakfast, all of that goes out the window. She doesn't even stay for breakfast. I mean, Junior wakes up, where's Mom? Out. Where's
Hmm.
breakfast?
Yeah. I
There's
think
no
she only
breakfast.
stays for breakfast for the first one, and that was it. She only stays for the first breakfast, and the rest of them, she's not even there.
Yeah. Yeah, this was really her episode. And then, of course, at the end, she lights up a cigarette, and it's like all these characters have their thing, their vice that they fall back
Hmm.
on when they're stressed out. You know,
Hmm.
Marie rips off the tiara, and Skylar smokes a cigarette. Everybody's got Jesse does his things.
Yeah. I think Skyler, she was the one that sort of broke bad in this episode by lighting up the cigarette.
Yeah, and he does actually push everybody to break bad in
Hmm.
their lives. You know,
Hmm.
although I'm not sure if with Hank and Marie they were pushed by him. I mean, they didn't do it for him.
No.
But anybody who was doing something for him on his side was pushed to break bad in some way.
Hmm. Yeah.
But it's funny too because the music they play when she's smoking that cigarette is like sounds like some 50s pop song. And I just kept thinking this family's regressing. And
Hmm.
that song just oozes another time period. A time period where if you saw a pregnant woman smoking, you wouldn't think twice.
Hmm.
And this family's regressing, and while she's doing this bad thing that 50s housewives did without anybody saying a word, she's not a
Hmm.
50s housewife. She's the kind of wife
No.
that you tell things to. This is not
Hmm.
the marriage where the husband gets to make the rules and keep the secrets.
She's not June Cleaver
No.
from Beaver, Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
She's not
Right.
her.
Yeah. Father doesn't know best. I know best sometimes. You know?
Yeah.
But poor Jesse. I mean, the scene when his parents come in, the lawyer's there, he thinks it's
Yeah.
an intervention, and it starts this whole thing with it's not an intervention, it's an eviction. Um,
Hmm.
they were completely right. And when she goes to the house on that day, that last day, that end of the 72 hours, and
Hmm.
everything's taken except the ice trays, um, she he's doing the same thing with his mother that Walt's doing with Skyler. We're starting a dialogue. This is good. We can
Hmm.
change, we can improve
Yeah.
things. And he's in total
Yeah.
denial that they're going as far as they're going.
Hmm.
And I think Walt's going through something similar. Only he gets to live in his house, and Jesse ends up with a milk crate full of stuff on a bicycle. But
Well,
we,
that got stolen, so.
she's like giving him tough love. The lawyer was right. The criminal activity could cost the
Hmm.
family the property. Yet I hate them in this episode, and I feel so bad for Jesse. Playing with my morality here.
Yeah, I
Because they're
still can't
right.
stand his parents. Yeah, especially the right, but especially between the dialogue between Jesse and his mom, he kept bringing up the fact that she was never there with her sister while she was dying, and that just sent her
Mm,
off.
yeah. Maybe that's it. That's the conversation right there. And you can believe that Jesse would have done it. Jesse's
Hmm.
loyal,
Yeah.
sometimes to a fault. And with Walt,
Hmm.
especially. He starts out as a hostage in that relationship because he was blackmailed into it. But at
Hmm.
some point, he's a willing participant. Certainly
Hmm.
by now, when tables are turned, they're in the convenience store, and Jesse's like, "We got to cook," because he's got no money. And
Yeah.
Walt, the last time we saw him, wasn't he the one saying nothing's changed? We have to still
Hmm.
cook. And Jesse
Yeah.
was like, "Are you kidding me?" And now Jesse's like, "All right, let's do it." And Walt's like, "No, I can't. I can't even leave the house for 20 minutes without Skyler
Hmm.
wondering where I am." And he's like, "I need money." And Walt just shuts Jesse out. His problems are not Walt's problems. Shut him out, shut him out. I love when they both abuse their phones at the same time. Remember?
Yeah. What was his
Smashing
off the
phones.
hook, and then he's, oh my god, that was hilarious. There was some funny moments in this episode, which is great.
Yeah, like the porta potty thing is a big one.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was yeah. The blue visual. I
Well,
always I see that and I say thank God for the blue because it could have been so much worse.
it could have been Brown.
Yeah, it looked bad enough already. Didn't need it. I got the point.
Well, well, I'm glad you brought up the blue because I saw sort of a theme in this episode. Blue.
Oh, duh.
Remember when Marty says she saw? Yeah. Yeah. Remember when Marty says she saw green in the first one? In this episode, there's a whole bunch of blue. Jesse's in the blue stuff. Uh, Walt taking out the blue bag and putting Jesse's money in it. The blue barrel.
Wow. Nice catch. So it's definitely the Skyler episode
Hmm.
because that's her color, and and it ends with her, and it's
Hmm.
interspersed with Jesse's woes, um, at crossroads. He has hit a point with her where he can't play games anymore, but he's going to continue to
Hmm.
try.
Yeah.
I just love that so
So,
much, that out thing though. I mean, if people don't see where she's coming from in this episode, there's no way they're ever going to be sympathetic to
hmm.
her. And I look at this episode and I'm like, yeah, you know, actually you're being a lot nicer than I would be. It's I mean, it's one thing if it's not like Skylar changed the rules one day and decided, we've had a pretty equal relationship, pretty equal partnership here, and I no, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm so tired tonight, but it's clear that they did have that openness, honesty. They didn't have anything that they had to hide from each other.
Hmm.
They don't have secrets. They don't need them, and it's not like she changed the rules. You can tell this is new behavior. She didn't just up and say, well, things have always been this way, and I've always afforded you this certain amount of privacy where you can do anything and not explain it. And it's really not based so much on, I mean, although I would argue that that's what a relationship should be like. You know, equal rules for both, but even if people don't see it that way, this is their relationship, and it's changing. And she is justifiably angry.
Yeah.
Because he's not explaining. And he seems, he feels guilty.
Yeah.
He even pays Jesse money.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when Jesse argues that half of Walt's money is half of his money, what really happens is Walt pays Jesse to feel better about what's going on with his family.
I also like that scene where she like fixes up her hair and does her makeup and everything. It's like acting like she's having an affair.
Yeah, you know, why are you making yourself look so good? The women tend to do that anyway. You're going to see people. You want to do something about your hair or your makeup. You know, but yeah, I guess that would give the impression that she might. And then when he finally he says, like, what do you want me to say? That I'm having an affair? Ask me. And she says, would you even tell me if you were? And he says, of course I would. And I'm not. And she says, congratulations, you're not having an affair. And what she's, you know, but it's not. And, you know, shut up and say something that isn't complete bullshit, is what she said.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when she goes off on him finally after doing this very calm demeanor type of cold shoulder treatment, you know, I look at that. I'm on her side. I see her view. At the same time, this is early on in the series, and I still want Walt to be okay. You know, and I'm justifying some of the things he's doing. But I don't find her at fault. And I'm on her side on this. You know, and he just has to admit that, I mean, obviously he doesn't have to do anything, it's all written, but he would just have to say to her, look, there's some things I do that are completely harmless, in my view, that the family doesn't need to know about. I'm dying of cancer. I'm here for the family. I'm not having an affair. Leave me alone. But he can't say that to her. So he just tries to bury it, and she can't do it. He can't do it with her.
It always backfires on him.
And he also feels insecure about Junior. This is when he discovers that he's been using the nickname Flynn. And Skyler already knew about it. Oh, you know, it's funny because she's got that sort of smug, yeah, I'm here all the time, I know what's going on in his life thing going on. As a mother, I've done that. Yeah, you didn't know that? I've known that for 2 months. Where have you been? You know? You know, making him feel a little bit, and she's like, you know, don't take it personally. He just wants his own identity. And Walt's concerned that, oh my God, do you think he talked to Lewis about what happened, how I disappeared and I forgot what happened and my fugue state? And she just had to tell him point blank. You know, Lewis is his closest friend, and he was upset. So if he talked to him, that's his right, you know?
Yeah.
Walt's just like, you know, Skyler walks out the door, there's no breakfast, let's take Junior out for driving, and that's supposed to help. That's supposed to bond the two of them. And it only makes Junior upset because I don't really know about that whole thing with the driving.
Well, for the driving, I can tell you that for my test, I did use both feet, and the instructor told me if you use it again, I'm going to have to fail you. So
really?
Yeah, she did.
But wow.
Yeah.
Well, states vary, but I get where Walt, you know, you definitely, if you can, want to have only one foot involved. But, you know, and then you're aware usually of where you're putting, I'm going faster, I'm stopping, I'm going. But, in Junior's case, it's obviously one leg, it's really hard for him, or maybe both
Mm-hmm.
legs, very hard for him to lift and shift that quickly.
Yeah.
He's using crutches for this reason. And, I think, didn't Junior say something like it would be okay? That he could get a doctor's note or something to that effect, that he could do it. It wasn't a problem. And Walt was like, that's beside the point. It's not the right way.
Something like that. Something like that. It was something like that.
And I
He
felt
said
really
at
bad. Because, of course, he messes up. And you see, they show his feet. And he is sluggish on it. And you can't be sluggish going from gas to brake. So, that's the point of a brake. But, so I felt really bad for him because there's, his father doesn't give him breakfast and takes him out and makes him drive away. He doesn't know. Oh, and Lewis comes up there too.
Mm-hmm.
Lewis has been
helping.
We
see Lewis for the first time.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And the last?
I think that's the only time we see him.
When he comes up in the driving thing, he says that Lewis has been helping, and Walt has a really small pause where he looks like disappointed. Because there is a point, and it happens to moms and dads, with kids. You're their best friends till a certain age, and then they're all about their friends, and they don't look back. And and it gets more intense, of course, during the teen years. So, and Junior's being totally normal.
Junior's like 16, so he's doing what a 16-year-old does.
Mm-hmm. And Walt,
and that is rebel against their parents.
Mm-hmm. And Walt is feeling, like he's not important to Junior, and he wants to create that bond.
Well, he wants to create that bond before he dies of cancer.
Yeah.
He wants to spend every last minute with Junior before he dies.
I think it's more that, it's a change that these two, father and son, have been close all their lives. Junior loves his father. Really, really, really does. And, you see they have these things that they do, like that band thing. You could tell they've been doing that for a long time. These are two parents who have been very engaged with their kids. But Junior has reached that age where he doesn't want to hang out with you so much. His friends are more fun. And, Skyler, you see it affects Skyler. It always makes a parent sigh, but she sighs and she deals with it. That's what she understands. Walt feels it and goes, oh my God, I have to do something, and return things to the way they were, but you can't make your kids kids again. They are where they are. And so he's failing with his wife, and now he's screwing up with his son too. Not really accepting the name Flynn that much, Yeah,
I don't care too much for that name, Flynn. I don't know, is there significance behind that?
I have no idea, and I think it's sort of dorky, but Skyler is right. Kid wants his own identity.
Yeah.
You don't want to be version 2.0. You want to be you. And lots of kids do that. I mean, oh God, my daughter, the way she spells, okay, it's not even her name. Her name is Jacqueline, and we call her Jackie, and I always spelled it because, of course, she didn't come out knowing how to read and write. Jackie. At some point, she decided it was Jaki. And I found myself not accepting it at first. And I said it to somebody famous one day who actually changed her own name. And she just looked at me like, bad. And I realized, yeah, that's her right. It's not even her legal name anyway. It's not even, it's not like she's calling herself, I don't know. There's worse. than spelling your name differently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and parents do that, but they have to step back at some point, and Walt is just pushing too hard, and he just flunked out with his family, and finally there's Jesse, and he gets to, do that contrition thing with Jesse and pay for the privilege, like give him money.
But I like how he split up the money, and then he had one last stack of cash left, and he just took the cash instead of separating it, instead of dividing it out. If you notice, he divides it out, it has one left, and then he keeps that one.
Right. Yeah, of course, he's more important first. He has to leave the convenience store first. He said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think he actually did have a pretty good argument. I used to always look at this episode and that whole argument, which is because of Tuco, the DEA has my half of the money. But we're 50-50 partners, so we both have to eat that loss. So it means you have to pay me half of what's remaining. And to me, that sounded right. And Walt, and you know that I start hating Walt, and I think his ego and his greed gets the best of him. And I always felt that Walt was being unfair, because he would say, your carelessness. And then, today I'm watching the episode and I'm thinking, well, they were both out in the desert with Tuco. And I know it was Jesse's car, but what if it had been Walt's car? His money still wouldn't have been there. Walt's money was tucked safely behind some insulation.
Yeah.
Oh, no, in a vent. The heat vent.
Yeah, in his vent. Yeah, duct tape.
And, Jesse's the one carrying around a bag in his car. I mean, you just don't do that.
Well, we'll see that brought up again next week in Breakage. Because I always watch ahead, and it's going to be a great episode next week. I like it because it leads into Peekaboo, and I really like Peekaboo. Peekaboo is fantastic.
Peekaboo is one of my favorites ever. I love Peekaboo. I love the weirdest. I don't know. I love Shotgun is another one that comes up later. Mike and Jesse, and I love Fly. I love jumping into those debates about Fly. That is, for a low-budget episode, just so profound. So much going on in that. That's an amazing episode. I love this show. But yeah, this is definitely Skyler. She's drawn the line in the sand, and I haven't been watching ahead, and I don't always remember the chain of events and what's going to happen next. Because I know at some point, he's going to have his surgery. That's what's going to happen. He hasn't had that yet, or did he? No, wait.
No, he hasn't had it yet because he has to have the surgery, and he brought up when he was dilated and whatnot. He's like, under the
right.
He was like under the gas or something, and he brought up the second cell phone during that.
Right. The one that's already causing him trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, because Skyler asked, "Did you brought your phone with you?" And he answered, "What phone?"
Which one? So she's gonna put up with the same old through the surgery because then they're gonna because this means it's breakage. Oh, breakage has to do. Oh, that's what Jesse says losses are.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Now remember the chain of events.
Next episode's when they recruit Skinny Pete, Combo, and Badger to be the distributors.
Oh, that is a great episode. Isn't that when Jesse really takes charge as the businessman and gives him the speech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2-5. You keep the 5, and I'll keep the 2.
Yeah, and Jesse's struggling all the time to feel good about himself. He feels lame. If you asked him, what do you feel like? I feel like a loser, he would say. He really would. And everything that happened to him just made him feel worse and worse and worse and worse. The poor guy, he's living on a bicycle with a milk crate full of stuff. and then he loses that. And
Mm-hmm.
he's in he crawls into the RV, covered in that potty stuff, sleeps on cardboard with
Yeah,
a
the boy.
gas mask on, and just cries. It's
Mm-hmm.
awful.
Yeah, we
Oh,
haven't brought up the fact that he went to his old friend's house and asked
oh,
if he could stay.
yeah, that's a pretty important scene too.
Yeah.
Shows you what's happening to his friend base, which is also typical of this age group.
Mm-hmm.
Family friends are not the same friends,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like Jesse's trying to talk, and the guy's like, "Oh, hold on a second," and he has to have this whole conversation about the carrots with his kid. And then, of course,
Yeah.
the wife comes in and blows all the plans, and they're not the same. You can't do the same kind of things you did with them before.
No.
And it puts a gap between, people who have kids and people who don't. It puts a real gap in between them sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
and he's desperate, and he's on the payphone. He doesn't even have a cell phone. He doesn't even have like a throwaway cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
He's so I don't even think he smokes a cigarette. I don't think he's got any of those.
No.
I don't think I remember him lining up. He doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything. And he calls friends, and they're not helping, and he trashes that phone too. There's a lot of phone abuse going on here in this episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
he
I
does.
wonder how come he didn't go. I wonder how come he didn't go back to the hotel with Wendy.
Oh,
Or
because
is
she's a
that like?
skank?
Or is that?
Maybe he'd have to
Or is that like?
pay. She can't afford to
Or
get up at
maybe
night.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know what her plans is. I don't know what her plans are. I don't
Wendy
know how much
lives
she
day to
charged.
day. She does enough work
Yeah.
to pay for her food, her room, her cigarettes, her food, her drugs.
Yeah.
So,
Why didn't he just go and call Wendy and say, "Hey, Wendy, I need a favor here." Or maybe he
well,
did,
because
and we didn't even see that.
she'd be like, well, then I'm gonna have to close down my business for a night. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to give me something, and he has nothing.
Hmm.
He has nothing.
Yeah.
And he was so in denial. He didn't even start packing. I mean, Mom gets him out of bed. He's got the drug
Hmm.
paraphernalia all over the place, and
I like how he just hides it under the bed. He takes the
yeah, like
he takes the
you didn't see
cocaine
it
and
because
just
I just hit
shoves it
it,
under the
right?
bed.
Right. Yeah, it's an impulse that I understand, but it's cat's out of the bag.
Hmm.
But yeah, I love also one of the coolest things I think that came out of the show, the little extras was Twat Hammer. So
Yeah.
Jesse's at the
Yeah.
table with his friend singing fallacies, and the episode closes with fallacies. They go right
Yeah.
from that
First, the beginning with from
that
that
50s,
song
60s
that
song.
played. Yeah, and then to fallacies, which is
Right.
fantastic. I like that.
That there's a video that some people probably
Yeah,
don't know about.
the music video that Jesse and his friends did.
Well, Jesse's actually not even. Oh, there's a kind of comical music video with Jesse in it. But the
Yeah.
actual fallacies video, Jesse's not in. He's not the drummer.
Hmm.
But
No.
Badger is the lead singer, and it's
Hmm.
actually really awesome. I mean, like I've been looking for it to put in my Spotify list.
Oh, I
I
have it
can't
on the
find it.
Groove Shark.
It's
I got it
got to
on
be
Groove
around there
Shark.
somewhere.
Fallacy.
But I would actually listen to it. I think it's cool. That
Hmm.
was just a nice little thing to come out of it. And then, we'll see it later. Shotgun. Jesse will be,
Hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
fallacies. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I went
And
into
so I think
like.
this is.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
No, I just said I went into like 5 pages of notes on this one. And half the stuff that I wrote down I didn't even look at. But things are, I think, it's getting more interesting. I'm finding more to talk about as the episodes progress.
Hmm.
It's fun, but this is for
I think
Skyler.
that's all. I think that's as much really happened in this episode. Really,
It's all
I think
about
we
Skyler.
discussed almost. Yeah,
Well, most of it.
I didn't know. I didn't know until I looked ahead that IFT is season 3. I thought it was season 2. I really
I know
did.
she's got to. Ooh, she's got to have the baby first and all that stuff. But yeah, you want to know? You know something funny? Um, I didn't know what IFT meant. I didn't even think about what it meant until like the last year. And I looked at it and I looked at it and I went, oh. It took me a while and I looked at it and I went,
Well,
oh.
Skylar said at the end, "I fucked Ted," so I think that should have been a clue right there.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't pay attention to the title and its significance. I was like, whatever, it's something I don't understand. There's so much to watch here. I'm just going to watch. And then I went, oh, yeah. Slow on the draw. So this helps. I comb through it again. I pick things up. And psychology, morality. Oh, and Monday night, I'm probably going to keep it short because my life has been so busy and hectic. But I'm going to talk about how Hank and Walt are really two sides of the same coin. Remember that whole chorality thing?
Yeah.
Hank and
Yeah, I
Walt.
might drop in for that. I might drop in for that.
Yeah,
Sorry I
that's
couldn't make it 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, my neck just went out. It locked up on me, and I couldn't
Ooh.
hardly move it.
Oh,
Yeah,
better now?
it's way better. I can move left and right, up and down. But 2 weeks ago, I couldn't even move without it hurting.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
that's okay. I don't expect
I
people
probably
to do
slept
their
on it
own thing.
wrong.
People have
I probably
lives.
slept on it wrong or something.
I almost went and took a nap instead of coming in here. But I got so excited after watching the episode that I was like, no, I'm going to stay awake and I'm going to do this. So thanks again, Shane.
Oh, did you get the alternatives to Walt and Gus yet?
No. What's that?
Poisoning Brock. Alternatives to poison Brock.
Oh my God.
To get Jesse.
I have been thinking as a lawyer and I have not thought of that at all. I
I thought you
forgot.
said you had one.
I did. This was 2 weeks ago, and let me tell you, I've been like up all night being my own lawyer. It's ridiculous. But what was I thinking? Oh, my idea was that just stealing the doing what he did,
Hmm.
or just doing it himself, like, because one of the plausible explanations for the cigarettes being missing, maybe he shouldn't have even involved Saul and Huel in this, was that he hangs up his
Hmm.
jacket in a locker. So switch the pack out and make Jesse think it's missing, that somebody, or don't even switch the pack, just take it. Somebody took
Yeah.
that pack, right? And, who do you got running around there? Tyrus at that time?
Hmm.
So all he would have to do is say, Gus has that ricin, and he's going to use it somehow.
Yeah, Tyrus. Yeah, that's a great idea right there. I don't know why they didn't think of that, but maybe they wanted to do it their way. That's a pretty good idea.
All right. I was supposed to come up with several, but that was the only one. I mean, I'm thinking
It's
there's got to be
tough.
ways. If you put your head to it, poisoning a kid like first option, but it was like it was predestined because he was spinning like a roulette wheel sort of a thing, only it was
Well,
a gun. And it was him,
well,
him.
didn't Tyrus or Victor pat him down one time? I'm trying to think. Did he get pat down, Jesse, by Tyrus or Victor? Because if he did, that would have been an excellent way to say, Walt, hey, remember when Tyrus
Oh
pat you
yeah,
down? He could have done it like that.
yeah. Or like, when they're busy and his jacket's just sitting in a
Hmm.
locker.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have that in his pockets, and he wears that hazmat suit, and so just to have it be missing, but maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe Jesse would have said, you took it because you're jealous that I'm moving up and, that he likes me and trusts me and thinks I have talents.
Yeah.
So maybe it wouldn't have worked, but it was worth a shot. But you can only fuck with the Ricin once.
Yeah.
You can't keep messing with the Ricin.
Yeah.
But I will think of that when I'm done thinking about all this other stuff that I've been thinking of.
Yeah, so Monday you're going to do Walt and Hank. Now,
Yeah.
Next Monday it's going to be... Now, after that, you're going to do a break? The 24th?
I'm not sure. I did a break last week. Because I had a lot going on. I don't think so. I'm not sure. And I haven't decided where to go. I don't want to repeat anybody
Marie
yet.
and Skyler. You
I
want to
didn't.
do both of them? Marie and Skyler?
I was thinking of them too. But people like Mike, I'd like to talk about Mike. He's one of my favorite characters. I think he's a lot of people's favorite character. And he's morally ambiguous. People who do have the gray areas. There's some that really don't. Like the cousins. Okay, total psychopaths. Next. Tio.
Yeah.
Total psychopath. Next. Even Gus. I don't think there's much to say in his defense, although people have ideas. Maybe I'll discuss Gus, but I don't think there's much redeeming to him. He's not as nuanced as Skyler and Marie and Hank and Walt. Even Walt isn't as nuanced later. Maybe Gretchen and Elliot. Because, yeah.
Do you have enough to talk about them, though? Because they only showed up 3 times.
Yeah, but they play a major role in what goes on from beginning to end, and his backstory, and why he feels the way he does, and how it looks like he contributed a real lot to a company. Like, they would not be filthy rich without him, is how I think it is. And yet he's suffering and working jobs he finds demeaning, and at the end they seem they're terrified, but when he says to them, here's your chance to make things right, you get the sense that they know it, and he's right. And the whole Charlie Rose thing, just to prop themselves up at his expense, was just another example of that. And that's when he decided to use them. But I definitely have to go back to characters, because there's a lot about Walt, for example, that hasn't been talked about. Probably a lot about Jesse, and lots about, I'm definitely getting back to Skyler. Because, I don't think we even explored the whole IFT thing in detail. That's one of the most pivotal parts of that whole story between the two of them. And the root of a lot of debate on the internet. So
I wish Skyler haters would come on, but I think it's too scared. They're too scared.
Well, if they hate Skyler, then they're probably not going to watch a video about, like me defending her, or other people defending her. I did have a guest a couple weeks back, but if they do, I hope they get the sense that it's friendly. And we're not going to gang up. It's not going to be a flame war on Google Hangouts. But, if nothing else, I hope that somehow Anna Gunn herself, hears through the grapevine that somebody's doing something, and it's about, defending your character, Skyler White. And they're doing online chats and stuff like that, and they're really into it. And I don't even care if she sees it, but just if she knows that, and I'm sure that there are other small pockets of people in the universe out there who do the same thing, that she knows at least that there's, because, people transferred that hate to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really, really hard for her. I mean, obviously it was, because she wrote a whole piece about it for the New York Times,
Mm-hmm.
which they
Yeah.
actually had to cut down a lot. She had a lot more to say than she did. But, I mean, it got to death threats on her as her and a gun,
Yeah.
There was always, kill Skyler, kill Skyler. But somebody said, oh, somebody needs to kill that, see you next Tuesday and a gun or something. Why?
You know, I,
Because
I
she's
was
in your favorite
thinking,
show? Huh?
I was thinking, what if they had Skylar call the police and ratted Walt out as soon as he told her? I thought, oh my God, the internet would just blow up with Skylar hate stuff.
Oh, that would have been bad. Yeah, that would
Oh
have
my
been
God, that
really
would have been
bad for her.
horrible.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Because they do complain that she made that divorce deal with him over it. I won't turn you
Mm-hmm.
in, but you're going to give me a divorce. You're going to stay away from us. And, you know, and people thought she was a bitch for that. But yeah, she could have easily, and that her lawyer was, in that point, she had that fork in the road right there. The lawyer's like, here's
Mm-hmm.
your out. And you just tell him tell the DEA or whatever what he's doing.
Yep.
You'll get your divorce. You'll get custody of your kids. But she wouldn't. So
Mm-hmm.
she deserves credit for that, I think. Whatever. I mean, honestly, I think she should have just turned his ass in. But knowing he was going to die in 2 years, I can kind of see why
And
she might
plus,
want
it
to.
wouldn't have been a show. It wouldn't have been an actual show if she did turn him in.
That's
Unless
true.
they like focus him on jail.
Or he was doing it, off the radar, new
Mm-hmm.
identity, and somehow funneling the money to his family, but that would have been a totally different show. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, no, I mean, logically speaking, though, of course, I wouldn't want it for the plot because I wanted more seasons. But
Mm-hmm.
realistically, she probably should have. But what I was going to say is that knowing that he was going to die and his criminal activity would die with him, that
Mm-hmm.
why do this to Junior? And why have Holly grow up knowing that her father, I mean, it would be everywhere. It would be all over the news. It could not be a
Yeah.
secret. So, but that's one of those Skylar morality chat things, which I transcribe, so I hope we don't repeat ourselves. But I don't know how long I'll keep it up. But we're definitely on this week, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess that was it for this episode. Um, did anything stick out that you didn't know the first time around?
My big, big revelation was Walt is he's desperate. He's trying to appease, these people in his
Mm-hmm.
life. And he feels like his
Yeah.
actions are pushing people away. With Junior, it's not his actions; it's Junior's age. But with Skyler,
Yeah.
it's his secrets, and he keeps failing, and then finally he just pours it all out on Jesse, which almost makes Jesse
Mm-hmm.
like a family member at that point. The only other thing was their fight that they had in the RV, their
Yeah.
physical fight.
Mm-hmm.
um, over the money. And Jesse is so close to choking the life out of Walt. He's
Mm-hmm.
choking him to death.
Yeah.
If he hadn't let go, it would have been over. But he doesn't. He's that desperate. Jesse's that desperate, the poor guy. But when it's all over, they're just laying there side by side like partners.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's no fear, there's no violence. It's all chill. And it's almost like Walt's like, well, my family's not here. I'll take you,
Hmm.
and I'll do something to make you happy with me, and then maybe I won't feel
Yeah.
so guilty. But that fight was pretty funny. I love when the two of them fight.
Well, this is the first of many that Walt say, "You're going to do it, Jesse. Do it."
What do you mean? Oh, kill him?
Yeah, kill him.
He said that?
Walt says, "Yeah." He said, "Do it." And then that's when Jesse released and got off of Walt.
I didn't even think Walt could talk. Hmm.
Yeah, it was very subtle.
Huh.
You might have to turn your volume up to hear that.
I'll have to check that out.
But that's what he said. Yeah, that's what he said. He said, "Do it." When he's choking him down, Jesse's getting ready to punch him, and he said, "Do it."
But yeah, and Jesse stops, but definitely for different reasons than the Felina one. This was like, no, I
Hmm.
don't want to kill the guy. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was also really funny and stupid for Jesse to pull up this RV to the house. Skyler doesn't even notice. You know, lucky for Walt. And I don't know if you've ever seen that rap video of the Breaking Bad rap thing or remix. It's
I
called.
have no idea.
Oh, it's amazing. It is so funny. I'll have to post the link on your wall or something. But one
Yeah,
of those
post that. I
is
want to check that out.
one of the it's epic. One of the parts is where they're remixing, like repeating. Uh, you don't think. You never figured out how to think.
Hmm.
Walt's screaming at Jesse. You don't think, and Jesse's looking like. Until finally he's like, look, I'm sick of people kicking me down. I am sick of having nothing and people pushing me down. I'm going to choke you to death, you greedy bastard.
Hmm.
That's a desperate Jesse. Jesse doesn't do that
Yeah.
unless his life is in danger or a kid is involved. Poor
Hmm.
guy. And that's not even the worst he'll deal with, as we'll find out. But
Yeah. Yeah. So next week is Breakage, and like I said, I watched ahead, and it's going to be fantastic.
all right, I look forward to studying.
All right. So I'll see you if I can. I'll make it Monday. If not, I'll see you next Saturday.
All right, I'll plan on being here.
All right. Good night.
Have a good night, Shane.
You too.